Hello there, my name's Stephen Trahan and this is my case study for my blockchain strategy course for RMIT University. It started out with a conversation with an old school friend who lives in the UK, who works for IBM. My background is in commodity trading, which eventuated into construction, bringing in product from overseas and assembling all the parts, a bit like an automotive model, and building houses with it. So they're called modular buildings. So after talking to said friend, it was explained to me the application of a blockchain system with a shipping company he was working with in Copenhagen, which opened up my mind, and some ideas started flowing between the two of us in the problem that's facing specifically Australia and New Zealand at the moment, which is construction of modular houses in the for social buildings. I've worked in that space for approximately 10 years, bringing buildings in from China, compliancing and constructing both in Australia and in New Zealand. So at the moment there is a government pledge to build 100,000 homes over a period of 10 years, which is a tall ask, and there's a number of problems associated with that there's no domestic manufacturer which can build, they don't have capacity, and they need to look overseas. Overseas supply is fraught with danger and perceived danger from a number of parties, which is all adds to the cost. Insurance risk from all the materials that compile together to make a building, which eventuates in a very slow process because everything needs to be reviewed, peer reviewed and reviewed and reviewed again. Design is very difficult because it has to go through three hands before it actually gets to a manufacturer that's making the widget. And the actual paper flow for the compliancing of a building is extremely complex. For example, I built a building in Auckland a number of years ago, and just the compliance document pre-construction was 770 pages long. Post-construction would be 4 times the size of that. So identifying problems in buildings, for example, facade problem that we have in Australia at the moment, being not fireproof, it was very hard to identify who was the culprit, who didn't design it properly, where the professional indemnity insurance was, where the insurance was, where guarantees were, and identifying who in that construction of that building was to blame. So looking at blockchain, there's a number of ways that can assist. I believe the path that government is taking to finance and build said buildings can be done a whole lot better. And the backbone of that, I believe the blockchain can bring some extreme benefits. Instead of the current format where they bring in large corporations to take the risk of these buildings and build them and provide finance, my solution is to bring all suppliers of the buildings together to spread the risk. It's always been very hard to identify the risk. I think now with this technology, it's clearly there. To spread the risk, there's no need to have the risk on large corporates to build it. Therefore, the large margins which need to be made, therefore we can bring down the cost per square metre of the homes for the benefit of taxpayers, really. Thus, the core value proposition of what I'm proposing is to bring the cost of construction down. Thus, my core value proposition is to bring in one place the compliancing framework on the blockchain, which is transparent to all the engineers, all the designers, council, developers, and is permissionable by people that need to know. Certain monetary or smart contracts don't need to be known by certain people within the chain. This will definitely speed up the compliance process for construction, which is currently sitting at 9 months. I envisage a very simple 1 or 2 page application on the screen which can clearly identify the key aspects for compliance, being tick boxes, which council can then drill into if need be to identify further compliancing behind those approvals. Let's see, the blockchain brings to engage direct with suppliers as opposed going through 2 or 3 middlemen, which provide very little value apart from taking some of the risk. I feel that every building that is built should have a data file instead of having pages and pages of documents that are somewhere in council's building somewhere. There should be a data block for every single building. So in the eventuality of anything going wrong, leaky buildings, mildew, damp, poor installation, whatever it is, it's easily accessible and it's instantly accessible. It's verifiable and each building can be audited. Therefore, the need for libraries full of data on each building, especially commercial buildings as well, it just won't be needed. One of the other key value parts of the blockchain in modular construction would be collaborative design. At the moment, there's some brilliant ideas both overseas and domestically, and it's very, very hard to share those ideas on a single project where structural engineers, fire engineers, everyone can talk simultaneously and see what's going on. Therefore, value engineering can happen at the same time as detailed design is being done, which is just not done at the moment. And a blockchain brings that. It brings the ability to do that instantaneously and to save a lot of time. I'd love to say that the strategy for this blockchain system for modular construction is done on my behalf, but the more I drill into it and the more I have feedback from my peers and mentors, there's still new iterations that's going through. I've currently engaged with all the major what I see as nodes on the chain, all the key workers, which are now collaborating together. And with that collaboration is the modification of the strategy is changing every week at the moment. So I'd love to say that I have a very clear idea of how things are going to look, but the more we engage and the more we talk about it together, both through RMIT and through my mentor group outside RMIT, it's evolving. There are other various key aspects of the modular blockchain that are of extreme benefit, being finance, smart contracts in shipping and logistics, direct supply from the manufacturers overseas, cheaper insurance because it's fully auditable and there's a full traceability. But those key aspects I'm leaving out of my blockchain at the moment because I'm concentrating on the compliance because that's the major bottleneck at the moment, with the secondary attributes being cost, traceability and auditability. Those are byproducts of what the blockchain is actually bringing. The core reason for installing it in the first place is, like I said, it's the compliance. The other attributes it brings are just par for the course. It's just a natural progression of the blockchain. Hurdles to adoption. By far the largest hurdle to adoption that we're currently facing is the knowledge of the cost and the speed to implement. And also the unknowns, the unknown if there is another system being built for the same business case. I've spoke at length with a number of construction people in IT, both in Australia and New Zealand, and to date there's not specifically for modular construction. There are some for construction, but they're nowhere near. They're with utilising coin offerings and so forth, and they're a long way to come into fruition. So at the moment, my largest hurdle to adoption is not the acceptance because of the feedback I've received. It's the cost to build and maintain a blockchain that council, government, and the node users are happy with. The biggest KPI that we've set as a consortium for the modular blockchain is the acceptance of the concept by the council. But even still, even if the council do not take things forward with the modular blockchain as a standalone compliancing framework and concept for collaboration, the consortium are considering going it alone to self-fund and to utilise a system because it reduces risk and it speeds up process for the actual workers on the chain. So even without council and government, it's a process that's still wanted. From here on, the consortium are going to develop the concept further in detail. We're actually going to use the basis of RMIT's strategy, which I've learnt over the last 7 weeks, but we're going to develop it further. We're going to go into a lot more detail for our own satisfaction to make a more streamlined and more detailed proof of concept, which will hopefully enable us all to just put some money where our mouths are. Well, that's my blockchain case study in a nutshell. It's a compliancing and collaboration framework for the construction supply of modular buildings. In this first case, it's for social buildings because there's a need and there's a want here and now, and it's to build them cheaper, safer, better designed, and swifter. Anyway, thanks for listening to me rabbit on about my idea. Enthusiasm takes over knowledge in some cases, so any feedback is greatly welcomed. Thank you.